Well, there's no doubt about it, guys. The world we're living in is crazy. We've got, all kinds of crazy things going on, from Mickey Mouse to masks being lifted to the government now trying to re-implement masks. My goodness gracious. Culture is bizarre, but I find great hope and peace in this quote that we often remind ourselves of here at Men of Iron, and that is, what consumes your mind controls your life. And we as a staff and as a board, as an organization, as a movement of men, as Men of Iron, we're in this place where we are literally watching a remnant of men that are climbing the mountains before them. And the exciting thing about all this is that they're climbing this mountain with virtues of masculinity and grit. And I love the fact that these men aren't consumed by the media. They're not consumed by politics. They're not consumed by woke ideology. They're not consumed with selfish gain. Rather, these men are consumed by God and their purpose. And the beautiful thing about it, man, is that when that becomes your focus, that becomes what you're consumed by, the result is that they know God and they know their purpose. And these men are really embracing this adventure of what manhood is, right? They're embracing their faith. They're embracing the challenges of family. They're embracing the challenges of friends, fitness, and finances, simply because it's what Jesus would want us to do. And today, like literally right now, in this moment of recording this podcast, man, we are at a place where we want to see that number of men grow, right? It was interesting. Several months ago, we actually began to discuss the details of our vision. And our vision, I'm sure you've heard us say it all the time on here, is to change a culture one man at a time. And so we wanted to know, what does this look like, right? And our tendency, I think, was to start thinking about numbers and metrics and measurables and these tangible things, right? But in that time, in that particular day, God started to show us something a little bit differently. And rather than showing us tangible things, he started to show us what the change culture would actually look like. And we started to write out these statements of, what does a culture change look like? What will men need to do for a culture to change? And we wrote these statements out. It says, men will have a passion to read, study, and teach God's word. Men will make prayer a priority. Men will be intentional about mentoring younger men. Men will establish strong and productive marriages and families. Men will lead and serve their families, their churches, and communities. Men will be intentional with their health and their physical well-being. Men will model extraordinary generosity and stewardship. Men will build profitable businesses and departments. Men will stand up for what is right and just, and men will join the restoration of biblical masculinity. Man, the one thing that has been under attack over the last several years is masculinity. And it's a shame because people are like, well, what is masculinity? At its core, biblical masculinity is very easy to understand and to define. A man is masculine when he embraces the leadership that God has trusted him with. A man is masculine when he seeks accountability and accepts that. And I believe that masculinity is all about pursuing mentorship, whether you're a mentor or a protege. You see, that masculinity it's an adventure. That's what manhood is all about. It's an adventure, and we really want to call all men up. This is our desire in this moment, today, right now, as you're listening to this. We want to call you up to conquer the mountain that's ahead of us. But you see, I think for men to conquer the mountain, for a culture of men to conquer the mountain, Men of Iron really does feel the burden. And it's not a negative burden, but it's like an anticipated burden. We feel the anticipation, we feel the responsibility to equip men properly for each section of the mountain. Each section of the mountain here in front of you is different, men. But you see, it's got to be your responsibility as a man to consider the three things that I think every man, it's not even I, it's we, that we believe here at Men of Iron, every church, every leader of men, if you're not thinking about a man's time, you're not thinking about a man's finances, and you're not thinking about accountability in his life, you will not be able to help him make a decision for where he wants to go. These are the three things that every man is looking through the lens of. How much time do I got to give to it? How much money do I got to give? And who am I doing this with? Those are three filters in which we have to understand. So if you're a man, while Men of Iron feels a responsibility of properly equipping you, that's how we're looking at this. We're looking at this through those three lenses, and it's your responsibility to consider the amount of time, the amount of finances that you're willing to invest into your own life, into your family, and the degree of accountability to which you're willing to seek. But it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to have all those answers right now, because like any mountain, like if you're going to start climbing, you got to go to base camp first. And this is what we understand here at Men of Iron is base camp is really an experience for all men. We can all get to base camp. Why is that? Well, it doesn't require a great deal of time or finances to get to base camp. Anybody can hang out there. And the problem is that there's not going to be a whole lot of accountability at base camp. And so we practically have developed and continue to develop free resources for men at base camp for you to grab a hold of. That's what this podcast is. You can listen to this on your own time. You don't need to do it with anybody else. It's free to you. And we've got a 30-day devotion on our website that you can sign up for and get. We've got different video series available for you. We've got this podcast, different digital challenges. But this is what base camp's all about, guys. Minimal time, minimal investment of finances. And guess what? The only downside is you're not really accountable to anybody except yourself and God through this process. But the great side of it is that you're at base camp, and there is something in the DNA of men that when you get to base camp, we see the mountain ahead of us and we think to ourselves, I want to freaking climb that mountain. I love that about men. We want the challenge. But you see, when you start to climb and you make that decision to start climbing the first pitch of that mountain, you see, you need to understand that an investment's required. And this is where a lot of guys can make a mistake, right? They start climbing without realizing the investment that's required. Because it requires your time. It requires your finances. You need the right gear. You need some people around you. You can't climb alone. And so as you seek greater accountability and as you seek more growth, you need a lead climber and the camaraderie of other men. Now, you need to discern, are you that lead climber and do you need to bring men along? Or maybe you're just a man who needs the camaraderie of a lead climber and other men around you. But this is where we continue to help men discover our small group resources, right? Like Anchored Man and Equilibrium. If you guys want to check those things out, check out the website. You can lead these things on your own. You can be part of Men of Iron-led initiatives as well. But I really want to encourage you guys to bring this stuff to your city, bring this to your town, bring this to your community. And I love this middle part of the mountain because this is really where accountability and brotherhood begin. But when you start to get in the middle of that mountain, the wonderful thing about it is that it allows you to see the summit more clearly. And you start to accept the fact that, man, I can't stop here. There's more adventure ahead. But you see now, if you want to start journeying to the summit, you want to start journeying to the top of that mountain, now you need that experienced climber who understands what it takes to get to the top. And again, some of you listening to this podcast, you are that experienced climber. You have life experiences that would greatly impact another man's life to share with him. You are that role of a mentor. You have what it takes to mentor another man. And I just want to challenge you, if you're out there and you're not mentoring somebody, man, we want you to be that experienced climber who's helping another man get to the summit. Because it's in this one-to-one mentorship setting where a mentor provides accountability and starts to point to the right tools and resources needed for a man to conquer the mountain. But you see, you have to count the cost, guys, proteges and mentors. Because this is where you have to invest the greatest amount of time and the greatest amount of finances. We've got these Strong 27 mentorships that you can bring to your city, to your community. You can do it individually on your own. You can get other guys involved. That's what our staff is here for, to help you do that. or you can get engaged in our executive mentorship experiences. But this investment of your time and your finances, while it's the greatest of them all, the Summit experience provides the greatest opportunity for accountability, balance, and spiritual growth. And so, guys, we want to see this number of men on the mountain grow, man. We want to see more men face-to-face, engaging in mentorships, experiencing growth in their 5Fs. And, man, we want to give you guys the opportunity to join Men of Iron on this mountain. Get to our website, submit your information to us, let us help you get on this mountain, and help us get the mountain in front of more men in your city and community. We'll talk to you guys next time.